Welcome to the Women Talk podcast, where ordinary women share their extraordinary stories. We would love for you to share your story on our podcast. Go to www.womentalk.ca and apply to share your story. And now let's welcome your host, founder, and CEO of Women Talk, Bridget Lessard-Diel.
Hello, beautiful listeners. Thank you for joining me today. My guest is Aime Hutton, who owns Inch by Inch Empowerment. Aime is a miracle survivor. Born 3 months early, was just the start of the challenges. As a girl empowerment leader, Aime empowers tween and teen girls to believe in themselves and find their inner confidence. As an international best-selling author, Aime shares hope, healing, and inspiration through her writing. Aime was awarded the Peace and Friendship Award in 2017 by Diversity Magazine in Alberta for being one who celebrates, accepts, and learns from the First Nations people of Canada. Now let's listen to Aime's story.
My story is threefold. Like many things in life, that things come in threes. The first thing that I've experienced is right when I was born. In 1976, in Ottawa, Ontario, I came out of the gate flying, too fast even for my parents. I was born at 26 weeks gestation, and I was 1 pound, 12 ounces. I was given 24 hours to live. The doctors even pulled my parents aside and said, we have to baptize her. Do you have a name picked out? Amy's really sick. And through this, I had lots of setbacks, even living in the NICU. I had stomach infection, blood infection. I was put under quarantine a good couple of times, even the first 3 months of my life. October 6th, I was born, and I got to go home just before Christmas on December 23rd, 1976. And the cool part about that is technology has changed so much over the 41 years of me being on this planet that babies born today are given 75 to 85% chance of survival when they're born in 2018 at 26 weeks gestation. When I was given 0 to 25% chance of survival in 1976. The second story I want to share is about being in elementary school. And I was the chosen one that was picked on and severely teased and bullied. Now, back in the 80s, we didn't call it teasing or bullying. We just called it part of life and part of being a kid in school. But not for me. I was called loser, stupid, retarded, dumb, button nose. Anything you could think of, they called it to me. There was a time when I was in grade 7, and it was gym class. We were in the change room for gym, and I was getting into my gym clothes, and the girls in grade 8 came up behind me, grabbed me by my bra strap from behind, flung me around, spun me around in circles inside this gym, inside the gym change room. And then I went flying into a locker, and I was battered and bruised and scared. I didn't know who to trust, didn't know who to turn to. The teacher finally came in and said, "What's going on here?" "Oh, nothing." Tears streaming down my face, but I didn't want to say anything because I was afraid of getting in more trouble. On top of the bullying and teasing for 6 years, the education system diagnosed me as a slow learner with learning disabilities. I was even told I would never write well, and I would always be that C student, never the A student. I was held back in grade 3. I had to repeat a year because my marks weren't up to par. I wasn't good enough for advancing into grade 4. So that, coupled with the teasing and bullying, my self-esteem was in the toilet. It was really low. Fast forward into high school, And I had lots of fun. I was on the swim team, in the concert band with the clarinet playing music, and the swim team and the band were amazing. The other thing that helped me through all of this was dance. I danced classical ballet for 11 years, from a young girl up into the end of grade 8. And swimming saved me as well. And Girl Guides. Being in Girl Guides, I could be myself. I could excel even. I was a natural leader and helping the younger girls with what we were doing and going on. I thought I was getting better, and then university hit. First year university, living 16 hours away from home, I fell into an abusive relationship in university, on campus. He was emotionally abusive, controlling, manipulative, and wanting to know where I was going and who I was with. He also choked me, all while living on campus, away from home, studying my degree full-time on campus. He stalked me too. After being away or being in school for the 1 year, he stalked me the 3 years following. He would just pop up everywhere I went. I would walk with a walk safe program in every evening to and from my room because I was afraid of finding this man appear on campus. I moved out here in 2000, and again, nature helped. I worked for the YMCA Camp Chief Hector out here in Alberta, and being out in nature just helped ground me and help soothe me. I have done lots of healing work on myself as well, and taking care of myself. Even today, I have my moments, and I've learned to set my own boundaries of what I can and cannot do within a 24-hour period. I've turned my story and my mess that I experienced as a young girl and growing up into university young adult. I've turned that message and the mess from my past into the message for the next generation of girls and our future leaders of the world, including their caring adults. And I love what I do when I'm working with these young ladies and their caring adults. It's just magic. And that's my story of who I am and where I came from.
Do you want more out of Women Talk? Sign up for our Women Talk membership today. Receive discounts at all of our live events, talk on more stages, receive free monthly webinars, or host a webinar yourself. Join this powerful sisterhood we call Women Talk. Visit womentalk.ca/membership to join at 70% off for a limited time only.
Wow. That is quite the story. What a big journey you've had.
Mm-hmm.
1 pound, 12 ounce. That's like a pound of butter almost.
It is. It's like a pound of butter and a bit. And size-wise, think of a size 8 women's sandal or a size 8 women's shoe. I was smaller than that.
Holy cow. So how did your parents dress you? Like, how do you find clothes for a 1 pound baby in 1976?
You don't. It was,
were you naked like for years?
I wasn't naked, but we found, but my parents found dolls' clothes. They would go to the toy store and get dolls' clothes, and face cloths were used for diapers because, again, in 76, all the invention, all the technology wasn't there like it is now today in 2018. Like, I've seen commercials of, premature baby diapers, and I'm like, where were those in 1976?
Wow. Have you ever asked your parents what was the hardest thing about having such a small baby?
Good question. I haven't asked them, to be honest.
Yeah.
If I could think, though, and the little snippets of story that my parents have shared, I think a lot of it was probably wanted to be with me, but they couldn't because they had to work and they had to, do what they do.
How did they feed you?
They fed me a couple different ways. I was fed through my nose, like intravenous through my nose. And then there was bottles. Mom was actively making milk, and she would bring in bottles every day and say, here are some for Aime. And some may have heard this already. Then she would bring others, the other milk bottles for the other babies and share that way. And today that's actually a big no-no and against the law. And
yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Were you the firstborn?
I was the firstborn. I'm the oldest in my family. I do have a sister. She was born in 1980, and she was also a preemie baby.
Oh, as little as you?
Not as little. She was born 2 months early, and she was 3 pounds, 12 ounces. And it was rather interesting because I'm pretty sure I think the doctor pulled my dad aside again and said, Erin is sick and she's not doing well and la, 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 la. My dad's like, I have a 4-year-old running around at home who shouldn't be here right now. Tell me something new.
Oh, wow. Like it must have been so hard. Like I can't even imagine. And when your baby is born, you just want to kiss it and hold it and let it drool all over you. And they probably couldn't do that with you.
Oh my gosh, no. I lived in the isolette, which is the fancy name for an incubator. And it was like one finger, like just coming in and touching my head or part of me, but they couldn't hold me. And that's the other thing too with technology, Bridget, is that in 1976, when I was allowed to come out of the isolette and be held, I was wrapped in blankets and then given to mom or dad. Today, there's a thing called kangaroo care where it's almost immediate. That baby will have her wires and everything hooked up to her, but then she's given to mom or dad and put skin to skin.
I must tell you, I had discovered kangaroo parenting when my first child was born. So, of course, my wife gave birth. But I would show up like I barely slept the whole time they were in the hospital. She was fully healthy. There was no issues. But she was an emergency C-section, but everything ended up being great. But I remember showing up at the hospital. I wouldn't wear a bra. And I'm a double D, so watch out. I wouldn't wear a bra, but I would wear up a zip-up shirt. And then I would go in the hospital and I would put her naked and zip her up in my coat. And that's where she stayed the whole entire day, zipped up in my coat. And, I always wondered, because I hadn't given birth to her, if we would have that bond. And our bond was amazing. So I believe in the kangaroo parenting. I think it helps the children that receive it, and it creates an incredible bond.
It does. Yeah. Kangaroo care was invented or discovered in 1980.
Yeah. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's skip forward a little bit and talk about when you were being bullied. Mm-hmm. How did being bullied change you?
Well, it changed me in a number of ways. I had that low self-esteem, that low confidence, the nobody likes me. And like I was being teased for being in swim class, for being in ballet, like I'm in Girl Guides. Like the kids would pick on every little thing they could think of. So how did that change me? It somehow made me become in my own way stronger, that I can get through things, that I can just keep moving forward. As you and I both heard Sandra Yancey not too long ago speak about inch by inch or step by step, forward and up is best, not flatline. So I just kept going forward, and every obstacle, I climb my own mountain or run my own marathon, and I figure a way out. And Yeah, I know it's made me stronger, and then also the situation from university too.
So what did you do in your younger years to soothe yourself when you were being bullied?
Dance, imagination. I would make up dances in my living room or practice the things I had to do for ballet. The other thing that helped was being in nature, funny enough.
Mm.
And going, I remember times of being younger, and we had a wood burning stove in my house, and we would go collect kindling every year from a forest that was pretty close to my house. And I remember being in the forest and like talking to the fairies and talking to the squirrels and just like, make believe and fun.
Did you
And
actually have a friend or two that you would hang out with that would be at your side, or did you feel completely alone?
I had one friend, and that friend of mine was actually a year ahead of me once I hit grade 3 for the second time. She was in grade 4 and I was in grade 3, and people said we looked like sisters. She had the red hair and glasses, and I had brown hair and glasses, and that was pretty much the difference.
Mm.
But the funny thing too with her was she was also being teased in her grade.
So you guys kind of
Yeah.
made a bond. Did it affect your trust in people being
Yeah.
bullied?
Oh,
Does
yeah.
it still affect you today?
It still affects me today. I am in the process or getting better with it of trusting others. And that's actually my word for 2018 is the word trust.
There you go.
So it's working on trusting others and myself, and also God's spirit, whatever people believe.
Yeah. So what do you think, as a parent, I should do if my child is being bullied?
Record everything, write it down. Because now with the technology, you can do it by phone or by audio and record. And
What do you mean record everything? Like
record?
the child record everything, or the parents?
But if the child has come home and is actually telling you stuff, be very aware of what they're telling you and either write it down in a notebook, or if you can have your phone nearby, just hit the record and audio record what they're telling you to have proof. And in the same breath, put the darn cell phone down and just talk with your kid. Talk with your child and get out of the house if you're able to, and just go for a walk, go for a drive, because kids will sometimes start opening up when they are engaged in some sort of activity, be it walking, throwing a ball, kicking a soccer ball, going for a hike in nature. It gets them out of their normal zone of like being at home or being at school. And you can get them going and talking that way. And another way to hear or see what's going on is, and it can work with all ages of kids, even your teenagers, is pull out some crayons and some paper or pencils and just start drawing pictures with your kids. Children will show you what's going on through pictures.
Mm-hmm. What would have helped you when you were being bullied?
If I actually said something to my parents.
Your parents didn't know?
My parents, well, I think they had an idea what was going on, but I didn't outright say, hey, I'm being called these names at school.
Why is that?
Fear.
Of?
Fear, shame that I'm being picked on, and I'm a strong girl and I shouldn't be being picked on, but I am. And
so what could have your parents done, do you think, that would help you come out of your shell?
They were doing the best they could. It was 1980.
Yeah, but from your perspective, like as a kid, could they have were you wishing for them to do something, or it was just kind of a big fog because you were in it?
Yeah, it was kind of like a big fog. I don't really remember thinking I wish my parents could do something. I do know that in the grade 3 year, when they went to my parents and said, hey, we actually want to put Aime into special education, they said no. They said hold her back a year and give her extra help through the school. So they knew something was going on, but they just said, we'll help her. And I remember sitting with my mom at some point, grade 6 maybe. And I think by then they kind of knew what was going on. And they said, sticks and stones will break your bones, but names won't hurt you. And they kept telling me things like that. And they just told me to, keep going and you're going to get through it, and so on and so forth. I did have a friend of mine in grade 7 who was in grade 7 with me. And she was actually, her parents chose to transfer her schools, to transfer out of the school. And I remember, I'm pretty sure I asked about that, asked if I could transfer, and mom and dad are like, nope, you're gonna,
stick it out
and get through it. And in hindsight, yeah, it sucked, but I'm here today, and it's what drives me to do what I do today.
Exactly. I always say life happens for you, not to you.
Yeah.
And you learn things. Now, do you think that the fact that you were bullied and probably affected your self-esteem is why you got involved with an abusive man?
Quite possibly, yes. Because I did have a boyfriend in high school for a little bit, but it wasn't anything too serious. He actually broke up with me like right around my birthday, and he was saying that he had fallen in love with another girl and so on and so forth. And so going into university, everybody's living on campus in dorm style, and it was a co-ed dorm. So it's making new friends, it's making those new connections. And I saw him and I liked his look, like what he looked like. And there was he liked me and he was paying attention to me. So I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then the other part I thought too was because that friend I had in grade 3 and she was in grade 4, we stayed, like, we've actually reconnected on Facebook now, but we stayed friends through everything. And so she was a year ahead of me in university. She actually met her now actual husband that she's living with, like married today, in university. So I thought, oh, my friend did that. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to find my, my one boyfriend that I'm going to marry and have kids with.
Moving forward, you're now in Calgary, and when I read your profile, you are a volunteer galore. Like, you volunteer hours after hours in many different companies and causes. Why volunteer so much?
Oh, because I saw it when I was little. My mom and dad were volunteering at church, mostly at church. And then my mom was, a Girl Guide leader, district commissioner, division commissioner. So I saw that giving back and supporting and helping. And it's just something that kind of comes really naturally to me.
How does it make you feel when you volunteer?
Oh, I love it. Like, as I said earlier, you and I were at an event a couple of days ago, and I loved being on the door, greeting people and welcoming them. And it just makes me feel happy. And it's a way to give back. Like, I know giving back can mean so many things. Sometimes it's monetary, like with money, but that's not the only way you can give back. And that's what I like.
One of the ways. So tell me, we only have a couple of minutes. Tell me a little bit about your company now, Inch by Inch Empowerment. What is that all about?
Yeah. So because of my story of being bullied and everything, Inch by Inch Empowerment grew out of the mission of helping girls age 11 to 17 to believe in themselves and find their inner confidence. And the mission also, and the vision, is helping girls around the world know their worth, that they're not second-class citizens, to know that they do deserve to be on this planet and make a difference.
So what do? Do you run workshops? Like, what do you do to help young girls?
So I do both. I run workshops, but it's more like a contract myself out. So I'll contract myself out to example Girl Guides or groups that need a speaker, that need a presenter to come in, do activities tailored to what they need. And then I also have an actual 9-week program where girls can sign up, and depending on if they're here local in Calgary, I will go to them, or if not, we do a Zoom or Skype sessions, and 9 weeks of homework and themes of different activities. And it's all activity based. Like the drawing activity I mentioned earlier, that's something we actually do every week.
So if people want to find out more about your program, where do they get a hold of you?
For sure. The easiest way to get a hold of me is the website, and it's www.inchbyinchempowerment.com.
Fabulous story, Aime. What a trooper you are. Wow. Look at you go now. You are just a champion for women and girls. And the world needs more people like you that volunteer and help other young girls and women. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you very much, Bridget. It was a pleasure.
If you have a burning desire to share your story with our audience, apply to be on our podcast. To apply and find a full list of our podcasts, go to www.womentalk.ca.